I shouldn't have switched to the night shift, but I was sick of doing nothing. I felt I had to at least try something. The job was to work at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. You had to keep an eye on the animatronic figures, which in this place wandered the halls. It's a bit strange, but there's a good reason. I'll get to that in a bit. The job in a nutshell is just sit there and don't screw up. But it's not as easy as that. You see, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is known for its animatronics. They dance on stage, get the kids all excited. It's a very popular place, especially for birthday parties. But for the night security, this isn't about watching out for people breaking in. In fact, if someone did break in, it would probably work out in your favor for that night. The job is to keep an eye on the robots, watch them roam the halls, and survive. During my time here, I very quickly learnt my first lesson. Don't let the animatronics get bored. This isn't all. There's so much to go through. Because looking into things, this led me to seek out why these things wandered the halls. I had so many questions. Are they haunted? Are they programmed to do all this messed up stuff? This place has been open for a long time. My time here is a drop in the ocean for the amount of mischief these things have gotten up to in their lifetime. Before a certain incident, the servos would be shut down every night after the shows. This was a more innocent time, when the security guards would be qualified and actually be trying to keep an eye on the place, making sure it wasn't burgled or not broken into by mischievous teenagers. When looking through the old logs, there are a bunch of old reports of the animatronics acting odd. There was one maintenance report when, one night, one of the robots, Bonnie I think, was sat there, blinking repeatedly. When investigated, nothing wrong was found. Another time, the neck of two automatons reactivated and would spasm repeatedly. After a few hours of this, the neck snapped and both robots simultaneously stared at the camera. Every time he checked from then on, they would simply stare, sometimes tilting their head like they were paying attention. After a maintenance check, nothing wrong was found. Even before they were left alone, they would play up. One time when the maintenance guy was shutting them down, the head of one of the robots twisted and snapped shut, nearly taking the guy's fingers off. It was noted as a malfunction, blamed on the servos locking up. But the people behind the scenes knew what really caused it, so a new procedure was implemented to avoid this. The maintenance guy was instructed to set the automatons to roam the building. It was noted that it was to stop the servos from locking up by not keeping them static. From what you already know, it's not hard to put together that that was a ruse. It seems the gang didn't appreciate being locked down every night, knowing that the night was the time they could, well, play. The security now had a new task in their job, keeping an eye on them and making sure they didn't cause any mischief. They would wander the halls, standing odd places, move a couple of things around. This continued for a few days, but every day they seemingly became more agitated. The security guard at the time simply took it as odd behaviour, but looking back, it's easy to see what was happening. They were getting bored. One day, the morning staff walked into a mess. Blood squirted up the walls, teeth strewn on the floor, parts of organs piled on the floor, surrounding a costume sitting where the security guard usually sits. The mystery of what happened didn't last after the mask of the costume was lifted to reveal a slurry of what remained of the guy. A new security guard was needed, and thus started the myriad of security guards, really just toys for the robots to play with. Each was briefed differently, seemingly to find out the best way to keep the guards alive as long as possible. It was all about efficiency. The best way they found to explain such behaviour was, if the animatronics happened to see you after hours, they probably wouldn't recognise you as a person. They'll see you as a metal endoskeleton without its costume on. Now, it's against the rules. They'll probably try to forcefully stuff you inside a Freddy Fazbear suit. That wouldn't be so bad if the suits themselves weren't filled with crossbeams, wires, and animatronic devices, especially around the facial area. So you can imagine how having your head stuffed inside with one could prove to be dangerous. It was decided to blame the maintenance guy. He was the one who set it so they could roam the halls. This added behaviour was pinned on him wanting to be lazy, wanting to be paid to basically do nothing by making the animatronics fix themselves and each other. It was the easiest explanation. This game of cat and mouse continued for a while. New job openings would open, and people looking for some quick and easy cash would take the bait. The system worked. It was by all means not perfect, but it worked. Each guard, from their briefing, had the opportunity to come up with a plan, something to end the cycle of nightmares forever. One guard tried to make friends with them, invited one in willingly. That didn't end well. Another tried holding out for as long as possible, eventually resorting to using his pistol on them. The bullets passed through whatever wasn't metal, and when it did hit metal, it bounced off. It seems that he didn't keep track of his shots. When he turned it on himself, the last non-violent thing he heard was the click of the hammer before the bloodbath ensued. At one point, there were 2 security guards. They both worked part-time, 6 hours a night, midnight till 6 AM, working 3 days a week, and alternating the extra day. Now, both these security guards knew each other. They were both students at the local college and were close friends. They thought it would be cool to work at the same place. Most establishments would have a problem with this kind of relationship, usually rejecting friends and family working together in the same place for productivity reasons. So they were ecstatic when they both got the job, seemingly instantly. It didn't take long for them to figure out the deal wasn't as good as they thought. They tried to hand in their notice. Every time it would be rejected by the higher-ups. So these kids came up with a genius plan to get back at the higher-ups. They both decided to stop showing up at work. After this, they stopped showing up to college too. When the college contacted Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, they simply said they stopped showing up at work too. Those kids weren't the smartest, and played right in the higher-ups' favour, cutting out their need for a decent alibi. There were many valiant attempts, each sadly ending in failure. The missing security guards were all neatly covered up if they failed. The higher-ups were good at choosing people and lining up stories to take away suspicion if they disappeared. But like any project that relies on the composure and sanity of individuals, it only took one person to try something too far. You see, the animatronics never attacked kids. They would stare at them, almost entranced. Well, one day, the security guard before me took a Freddy suit. He had an idea to try satiate the bloodlust of what was after him. One by one, he lured children into the back room. The kids, being kids, blindly listened to their favourite bear, and one by one, he piled the bodies where the automatons rested, as a present. In his mind, he put together a twisted narrative, in which the robots couldn't attack children, but it was their ultimate desire. To him, he was going to be the saviour of all security guards of this place. He almost got away with a 6th, but on his way, he was spotted by one of the robots, which rushed him and bit him. Now, an attack in broad daylight was completely out of character. Now this wasn't a normal bite either. The thing took the frontal lobe off the guy's head, which he surprisingly survived. This sparked what the press would label, as well as local legend, the bite of 87. Now, we knew that the robot actually saved the kid's life. In some strange way, these robots aren't inherently evil, but their games do have heavy consequences. The kid, however, just saw a machine bite the head off Freddy. Not exactly a happy sight. He screamed, and it wasn't long until chaos ensued. The bodies of the children were found, and because of the blatant assault, as witnessed by the kid, the robots were blamed. After lawsuits, confiscated robot parts for investigation, negative reputation, and all the rumors. One rumor was about the robots leaking blood and smelling rotten, something easily believed by the kids. This caused the store to relocate to the old location, when the place was known as Freddy Fazbear's Diner. It was smaller and cheaper. The current place has 5 robots instead of 10. It has door shutters and lights, but due to budgeting, there's also a limited amount of power. I'm pretty sure that's a cover. Electricity doesn't cost much for an establishment like this. It's easy to see that it was done on purpose by the higher-ups for the entertainment of the automatons. After all, it'd be too easy if you could keep the door shut all night. But now, in this new place, it seems to be my turn. I'm smart enough to know that I simply can't just leave. Who knows if it's the robots or the higher-ups that deal with you? All I know is that someone or something will. In the time I've been here, I've learned how the robots act. They start off simple, just a few movements here and there. They'll try to get you, but they won't rush you from the start. It's all a game to them. It always has been. They'll eventually start making things harder and harder. One will distract you while the other tries to sneak in. They'll mix up what rooms they go in. They'll sometimes mess with the tech. They're smart. And don't get me started on Foxy. The point is, I don't know how long I can last here. So, I need to act quick. Luckily in this time, I've had time to think. And I've got a plan. I've put out a job ad in the paper for someone to make an easy $120 in 5 days. It's not much, but it's all I can afford to skim off my own wage whilst leaving myself enough to live off. It's also short enough to find out if this'll work. The higher-ups shouldn't mind as long as they are appeased. It'll also give them new toys to play with, rather than running the risk of them getting bored of a certain person. I don't have much tech here. Most of the money went on lawsuits and wages. But there is a phone which can record messages. Each day I'll call and leave a message for each corresponding day now, and they can listen to them each day when they start. I'll leave a simple note which will instruct them to listen to the messages in order and details on how to do it. All I have to do is work 5 more days. Now, why am I telling you this? Well, heavens forbid, you shouldn't really be listening to this. But if you've made it through all 5 nights and you've been hired full-time, it means I've failed. And now it's your turn. I've given you enough information to work from, more than they give you. Something that took me a long time to put together. Time I wish I could have back. You should have a good idea of what might work and what shouldn't. And if I really have failed, I hope you're more successful than I am. I'm sorry I put you through this.